to make a lot of their bread. There's Nautilus that felt pretty telegraphed in all fairness. And yeah, I would suspect they're going to have to really try and bring it to Velia and Nemesis. Maybe they've got an early game pathing plan ready. Noodle has been
They kind of got wrecked, not to put too fine a point on it. It was a really good series of them, as absolutely right. Story time will have to wait. Shigenari flashing away, but Reckless waiting here as down comes the level 3 Neferi. Hot dogs for dinner. And Shigenari is feeling a little overfull and will die for first blood to the dog in the jungle.
Right, stories aside as well, we're going to catch them because they're actually very important here for the rest of the game and for the rest of the tournament as well. And the lives of both of these teams. Velia with a very nice invade. Takes the blue buff, takes the Gromp, and then wraps around. Shigenari and Obstinatus have absolutely no idea. Because even though they were deep woods, Velia managed to actually wrap around them as Mouse will die once. Ooh, the double scuttle coming through from Noodle right here. Mouse, that's a flash.
To try and punish this, eviscerating forward is Velia. Tehran going to be a little late. Nemesis flashing over here. Forced to flash out of those Jinzao. Charm onto Tehran, who is going to get hit up by that rupture as Nemesis for a second or two, but they can keep on hunting. Call of the Pack buys a bit of time, another eviscerate, and the Dark and Daggers keep on going through, and Nemesis gets another. Lost Ratones off to the races there. They have to do a little bit of giant slaying. Lost Ratones are looking to make sure they recover well from that upper bracket humbling they ended up receiving against the run of affairs as Bowsy gets ignited, and that's just a kill to Shigenari.
But as you can see right here, Los Ratones is sort of sandwiching in towards the Void Grabs. The TP is going to come through, though, from Tehran.
Hook lands. That's Baus getting rooted by the Deadly Flourish. Reckless trying to buy some time. Headbutts Obstinatus into the middle of the pit. Tehran now teleports into himself. Looking to play this out. Can start to play around the Grubs. Maybe he can smite one away. Looking to get some kills back. They've already nabbed one of the Grubs. Have Lost Returns. They get the Feats of Warfare as well. As, of course, Crowny picks up a kill. Charm into the knockup. Into the dead Cho'Gath. Not looking so much like a Void Monster as a tutorial boss.
Yeah, I feel like Los Ratones were very, very prepared for this.
Positioning from Reckless on that Alistair. Gets the headbutt back. Puts his Obstinatus in an awful position. Baus now is somehow very deep, and I suspect he will be going down here. Has got a flash. Where is he going? Of course he's going to the wave. He's heading for the farm. He'll get knocked up, but he'll be able to clear out the wave at the very least. Baus will never change, will he? Gets feasted, so there's some stacks in the inventory of Tehran, but there you go. Awesome. Fight around the dragon, though, so musing about skins. May have to wait a second as everyone's trying to fight for vision in the banana bush. Velia will go untargetable for a second. Headbutt pulverized from Reckless. Brings down Obstinatus, has a heat-seeking engage on that other support. Noodle going to try and find a moment. Does not get to Crescent God anywhere near in time to keep himself alive. A knock up onto the Cho'Gath, and again, the monster falls.
Isolate some members, then you kill some others. It's more about the zoning that you can create with things like the Jin ult and the damage distribution. And that's throughout the entirety of playoffs, right? So it's within series that they've dominated and within series that were hard for them. Obstinatus right here. Oh, in No Man's Land. Oh boy.
Well. I'm having a moment. It'll have to wait as I muse on ability names later. Nemesis in a 1v1 with Sankux. Noodle coming down as well, but Nemesis just gets to press R a few times and run away.
Yeah, Noodle is around. Does have one more dash. He wants to use that. He'll get the
to stick around. Reckless and Crowny now here, as is Senkux. They really want to potentially contest this. Noodle's gone very deep. Presses the R button. In comes the depth charge, but it was a little bold to throw down those ultimates. Flash for the charm. Flash in response. Keeps at least Obstinatus alive. TPs, I hear, beginning to fly on down towards his pulse. Obstinatus took the wall. Over the wall they're going regardless, but it's a double pulverized knockup. They'll bring down Crowny. Senkux still firing over the wall. Tehran is here as well. And I think Lost Ratones may have bitten off a little more than they can actually chew. Remember, Nemesis, no ult, gets feasted, goes down as well. And now Velia in danger in a 1 versus 4. Verdant have found a lot. You can call the back all you want. No one's on the other end of the phone. And a shutdown goes the way of Senkux as Verdant find a huge fight and a great teleport. And you can't ask for too much better. That puts Verdant right back in contention. They're still down 2,000 odd gold, though. And Lost Ratones look like they want to play around this as Reckless. Forced to ult and back away. Turn onto the hook lands and a charm in turn. But here comes the Weaver's Wall. And Lost Ratones, these last few plays have not been fantastic. A chunk on Velia who eviscerates away. Baus is also now ulted on in. They get the knock up with the multi-man headbutt pulve. Health bars are low. And actually Baus can start autoing. I take it all back. There's the Hound's Pursuit, and Tehran can do what he wants. Can't get in range to get the feast down.
Getting the word. No amount of tenacity. There you go. I found it. Is going to negate the amount of knockups, right? The Cho'Gath, the Thalia, the Nautilus. They've got really potent C's if they can change together. And they showed us at the very beginning of this fight.
Getting collaterals the entire fight. Do you see how many multi-man Qs he got straight through everyone at the back end of that fight? Nasty stuff from the Varus. Nemesis, though, now looking for an ult, following up with this Ari, and Senkox flashes the charm, but where is he going? Over the wall comes Dobsonata's multi-man dredge line, and depth charge, I apologize, that's the name of the ultimate. Velia trying to hop away, will get knocked up by the 3 Talon Strike, and Lost Ratones have gone a little deep. They'll change the corruption, try to turn this around.
Capitalize on the fact that there's no smite on the side of Los Ratones. They'll take that Rift Herald, and slowly but surely, I feel like...
Silver lining bit of CC, but Nemesis, look at the angle, the charm is phenomenal! And Crowny knocks down what Nemesis sets up. Reckless goes forward, does get knocked up here, has to flash away his Noodle, as Baus looks for the lane gank by driving straight down mid lane. Nemesis still got the ult to run with for a second or two more, can look for a charm angle, lands it around the minions onto that Cho'Gath, who's a lot tankier now than he once was, but is he tanky enough to survive? Is for the moment. Baus throws up the Soul Furnace, over the wall goes Velia, gets stunned up briefly, but chased onto Obstinatus. It's a double for Crowny, gets a reset on the Hound's pursuit. Velia will go and target with the call of the pack, sends those dogs straight after Noodle, who might be turning into dinner like his namesake. Gets in trouble though as he throws down the Crescent Guard, does pick off the bias as he tries to get a few more autos down as a zombie, and the Cranberries have the right of it. What's in his head going this deep? The Dark Daggers land, and Nemesis helps get another with the very tip of the Q. Wait, curtains are called, and how many shots
underneath their own towers, and Los Ratones pick them up one by one as Nemesis has found himself another target.
He has so much ability. Haste's ult is basically on no cooldown. Keeps chasing, gets another for Crowny, who's now going to...
And you connect ult onto the Nautilus, take this one down as well. What is happening? The replay is down in the bottom left as we're taking a dive straight onto the mid lane tower.
Well, Herald was taken by Verdant, so they'll charge it through mid lane and get a double charge off, which is nice for them. As the cacophony stops just briefly. And we'll turn instead to look at things like Hextech Dragon, which will be spawning in relatively short order. Charge now onto Shiganari, who was kind of split off from his team, trying to back away from the Baus. Got a lot of damage with this Titanic Hydra, gets knocked up by the Rupture, will be in feast range shortly. And Tehran will indeed press the R button, and Baus's zombie runs at a few people and tries to get a few more love taps down. No puns missed. Oh,
mate,
boy.
you're on the wrong side of the moon, and this is going to be a 1-for-1. So full versus full for this Dragon. The Dragon spawning already. Verdant did not have the time to reset and get a bit of vision into this river. So it's going to be a TP from Tehran coming through. And let's see if Senkox not just to wall in, try and get something from that 4v4.
Would be a 4v4 because it goes Baus down, but then instead is the soul for Lost Ratones. They get the full job with 4 dragons in a row at 23 minutes. Now turning around with that extra lightning to their name. And somewhere out there, there's a God of Thunder or two who are approving. And this is Nemesis into the backside, multi-man slow, as the lightning begins to ground itself in the skulls of Verdant, trying to get the shutdown onto Shikanari. But Nemesis manages to bring that down in a 1-for-1. Maybe not the cleanest they'd like, actually. Senkox running away from Velia, knock up now onto that dog who manages to eviscerate away to safety. Ends up being a 2-for-2.
Now this is obstinate to use the wall. And I feel like right here for Verdant, this will be their biggest test as they try to get some vision towards that Baron pit.
Quite deep for the Baus. I think he might be in trouble. Gets knocked up, flashes away. Curtains are called. Tehran, they're taking some big damage back. Down to about 10% HP, but over the wall goes Nemesis. Charm onto a key member of Noodle, who now Crescent Guards, but it might be a little too little and a little too late. Down with 3rd HP. Charm on the Nemesis and stunned up. It's not a charm, but it feels like it. That deadly
coming
flourish
through from the Ginas. Velia is starting this Baron up. 30 seconds for Nemesis. Does have the TP to get in, but that is just from Velia to try and...
He's gone.
Well,
or not. There's
Never
the
mind.
bleed, gets it in the end.
Pretty scary if Cho'Gath gets anywhere near the pit, but as you can see right here, Lost Ratones, particularly Baus and Reckless, have made it their life's mission to not let this Cho'Gath anywhere near the pit.
Nemesis is back in TP'd in. Shiganari looking for an angle. They are doing their very best to keep the Cho'Gath away. Root, though, onto Nemesis, begins to ult on out. Reckless will get the pulverize onto Obstinatus, and there is Baron secured. You asked them to keep the Cho'Gath out the pit, and Lost Returns heard the mission statement, and will even get a bonus to Lear at the end of it all.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Senkox ended up there. I think they were just trying to flank around to get any vision onto the pit as Theron has to flash the wall. It's pretty Lost Ratones dominant right here. Let's be honest, Obstinatus has his Hex flash away from that bush. And there's going to be a push towards the top side of the map for Lost Ratones. They've got the Baron, they've got 5 members, and they're looking for the first inhibitor towers.
In comes the Hound's pursuit, and Nautilus finds his diving suit full of a lot of holes. Tehran now in danger, tries to find some value, can't quite get a kill with that Feast. Velia low, but I don't think he cares all that much. The curtain's being called, but unfortunately for Jin, I think it's his team that'll be forced to take the bow. The spell shield tanks the 4th bullet, and Shiganari suddenly wishing he could counter 5.
Ooh, plain textbook right here from Lost Ratones. taking that mid lane inhibitor tower and the inhibitor as well. I mean, that's pretty good, right? You back off, you take your money, put it in your pocket, make it into items, and then just guarantee yourself.
On the Elder Dragon, I've got to try and find a way into this river without getting picked off on the way, and that's going to be no easy feat. All the while, look where Baus and Crowny are. They're in the base getting the final inhibitor.
Yeah, I think they're going to be threatening to actually end the game, because if you look on the top side of the map, there is already a wave running into the base. So Verdant right here, not only are they running back to the base, but now they're also surrounded.
Obstinatus going to get jumped on. There's the headbutt, the pulverize gun. A little deep for this one, but Reckless can make himself very tanky with the press of an R button, and his will is very unbreakable, as is his body. Unfortunately, on the other side, Verdant look mighty breakable indeed, and LR take him over an E and snap him in half. Thrown off the Hell in a Cell through the announcer's desk, 16 feet or whatever the meme is. It has been a shellacking, a bloodbath. What is it, 44 kills in under 30 minutes. Lost Ratones came here to play. They want to go to Denmark and they want to do it fast. They'll do game one at the very least in style.
The hell he wants, and he's going to give us an Akali game.
Okay, I like this. When you see both teams, more balanced, I think. But from your point of view, Solari and
Staying
Jamal.
that on the Rakan in the laning phase. Away, shove bot side allows a potential roam. Double knockup from Obstinatus buys a bit of a time here as Velio also takes a turret shot and need to begin to back away, but look who's roaming down. There's the Maokai, there's the Victor. They are indeed assembling. Dun dun dun. Senkox looks for that Siphon power, looks for the auto, can't quite find it, but gets the gravity field slow. And the final empowered order comes on down as Reckless is waddling around without a horse, and unfortunately, the big tree will be helping donate another kill over to
Verdant, and rightfully so. As I'm going to hold on to this, they're diving Crowny here.
We'll try and find a way out, but heavy is the Crowny, and unfortunately not heavy enough to fly out to safety there, even on like a 70% win rate on it, just shy, and this is looking pretty good for him so far. We can turn it into something a little bit more, of course, all the while. Lost Ratones do manage to stabilize a little, pick up a dragon, and again, it's not like the first time we've seen Lost Ratones mess up an early game and then find their ways back in the mid. They are so good at finding and picking up resources and relying on their mid-game prowess of a lot of their side laning to get back into games as Baus. Let's get hit by that Darkin Blade Part 3. Another DRX skin, by the by. And Terran will not turn that around for anything more. I appreciate the synergy between top and bot there. Nemesis has found a roam timer, though, Georgia, and I think this Aatrox might now be in a spot of bother. Flash for the perfect execution. R2 is available and doesn't even need to burn it.
Until you have that rocket belt, then you're actually a champion on Akali. As right here, Verdant, they're trying to commit towards those void grabs. They call Velia.
Just to drag himself back out with the press of the E button. Velia now backs into the pit. They get the Maokai route down on a couple of people, but not to a huge avail. Terran, though, no ult, still in the pit. Gonna back away. They'll take the single grub and extract, not willing to stick around and fight, especially with Corki nowhere near. Been a 4v3, I believe, as both AD carries not on the board there. So they'll give over 2 of the grubs, but not the full set. A good defensive counterplay, bot side into a good aggressive play just after. They would like to start keeping that up, though, as Reckless finding a re-engage onto Shiganari. Flashes away, but Nemesis looking to come on over, looking for the perfect execution. A bomber! Out comes the explosive cask and drinks misfortune.
And as you can see on your minimaps right now, 4 members of Verdant over on the bot side of the map. Terran really does need to reset right here, but I'm not quite sure that he does have anything worthy of buying right now, as Baus is going to continue proxying the wave. This is the time where Terran needs to actually head back to his tower, because the wave is going to be incoming.
Oh, doesn't quite get cast back towards him, but the flash body slam! And Baus finds the solo. Drinks another one under the table. The Cosmic Drive and a Storm Surge for the Akali as well. No mobility. Just damage. They know what they want to do this game. They'll throw down the Cataclysm. Noodle is the target. They'll begin to pre-ult himself, but that bullet time was just not it, as Velia managed to flag and drag out. And so, without those key ultimates, I feel like Verdant are going to have to give this dragon up.
Yeah, that was quite unfortunate right there. Of course, Terran doesn't feel like he can walk into this river with just a couple of components in his inventory. This is a 4 versus 5. Verdant are literally stuck on spectator mode. You can't walk into the river. You can't take the fight. You can't... I was about to say, hold up. Have you jinxed it? Oh, there we go.
Oh, flashes one. Can't flash the rest. Over comes Terran. A flash on out to safety. Turret shot's tagged by a Reckless.
Verdant are taking whatever's left on the map, which is not the worst case scenario right here. Taking that Rift Herald, you could potentially look to open side lanes or that mid lane to try and catch anyone trying to shove in that wave a little bit too far. However, Verdant have sort of been...
We're going, and in comes the Baus. Looking to get on top of Shiganari, but of course, he's got Struck to work with right now. Baus goes looking for it. Finds the explosive cast onto Senko. He's managed to back away, but Nemesis in the backside. Finishes what his partner in solo lane started. Does kind of get caught up by Noodle, though. Will get traded. Value a little bit split off himself. Looks to get on top of Senko. Throws down the gravity field. In comes the grand entrance. Senko's doing his best to stay alive. Gets another side for power. Flash for the auto. Can't quite get it. As Obstina's trying to bounce around. Terran looking in. Gets another flag and drag. Will finally bring down the Rakan, but importantly, Senkox does survive. Ends up being a 2-for-2. Jungler dead, though, for Lost Ratones. I'll note Verdant's health bars. Not fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie, I just feel so bad for Shiganari, man. That flank from Baus and Nemesis were just pixel perfect. Pinching him onto literally no man's land. You don't have flash, you don't get to play the team fights. Again, this is how miserable it is when you B1 a champion like Misfortune or any type of AD carry that doesn't move very easily. As I'm gonna hold on to the thought because Akali's coming back in, and that's a 4 versus 4.
Do the 4 versus 4. Dragon, of course, being fought with no smite. Out comes the bullet time. Shiganari.
Not again! Not again!
Flip. Here comes the Storm Surge and that 5-point strike. Crowny now training up with Sango's got nowhere to go. Verdant Noodle are going to have to flash out the back, as is Terran. They are definitely not playing scared of Lost Returns. Let's say that.
I mean, they've got the damage, right? And they've got the items. Noodle has gone for the double aggro item onto Maokai as well. The double burn aggro item onto the Maokai, and he's actually the only one who's on 2 items right now. Hold up. Obstinatus, and he's gone.
Get something back. They lose Obstinatus. Reckless now in a bit of danger. Taught on the wrong side of the gravity field, so it will be a trade of supports. On the other side, though, Terran gets jumped on. Damage back, but here comes the healing. The bullet time is good enough to force Nemesis to R2 away. There's no D2 players in this game there. They're all a little higher in the ranks than that. Jump onto Noodle, gets a Bramble smash back, but Baus throws out a cask and brings down the tree anyway. Lumberjack.
Not allow Akali to play onto this backline. It could potentially be the key to victory. And right here, Akali doesn't have ult. Doesn't matter. Arakan's already gone.
And take it for Verdant.
And they're trying to play with their back against that mid lane, but this is where Baus comes from. Nemesis is now through the jungle. The other side is full of Los Ratones members.
Oh, there comes the Cataclysm, and down goes Corki, though. That's not bad work. Bullet time is solid. Finds a lot of damage on Develia. Has to flash away. Baus split up from the team. Terran beginning to jump at him. Just gets a body slam over the wall. Looking for some more damage. Senkus with a Lich Bane on this Victor. Can look to play around those Siphon Power autos a little bit more. Nemesis takes the Hex Gate. Will immediately get out to safety, but that does mean with that member down, Verdant can look to take this Dragon.
Yeah, and Terran is actually keeping Baus in check, at least for the time being. Doesn't want to let him in. There are a few low HP bars right here. Nemesis and Baus are playing with them.
Ask away, but they can look to try and catch him out as the Make It Rain comes on down. Misfortune turning into it.
Focused all their efforts onto getting one member. That one member was Crowny, and that was a 4 versus 5 instantly in favor of Verdant.
Noodle just died, and guess what spawned about a minute?
Baus does not have TP. Just gets his level 16 and starts walking towards the objective. The TP coming through from Terran.
Try and play this around again. No smites. It will be a 4v5. Terran trying to play this one out regardless. Nemesis still in the Twilight Shroud, looking for an angle. Into the backline they go with the quickness. Trying to buy some time. Nemesis continuing to threaten. They've got the mid-tier 1 to work around still. And Crowny kills off Senkuks. In comes the Cataclysm. The bullet time to try and stand and deliver. As Shiganari tries to draw the guns at noon. But it's a final hour in this game. Terran tries to jump on forwards, but will die. Regardless, World Ender unfortunately apt for Verdant's team fight.
Oh boy, you saw how Verdant was what's going on? We all know what's going on. I think they know what's going on as well.
Apparently, it's getting the Baron as Obstinatus hops back over the wall. Doesn't have anyone to battle dance to quite yet. There is Suncook's in that top lane.
They have to. It's going to be so point for them. They're trying to take again. What they've been doing so well this game is entering the
What?
Where did my Victor go?
He decided that he was going to go to the Shadow Realm. He's playing Yu-Gi-Oh now rather than League of Legends, and Baus has decided to help him. Exactly. There are no weak players in my grandpa's team, but currently there is a dead Senkuks, and he'll respawn in 30 seconds and look to prove Yugi true at some point in the future.
That's actually so tough. You're playing against Baron the up team, full 5 members of Los Ratones, 3 waves pushing towards your base. Crowny and Reckless around that mid lane. You've got Nemesis and Velia over on the bot side of the map. This is going to be 2 outer towers against Gragas. And it's just the fact that you're not playing against a tanked Gragas. You're playing against Baus's Gragas. Talking about it, though.
Okay. Trying to catch him off. They go for the bush bait on the other side of the map where the dragon is. Good dash away. The strut is enough.
There are summoner spells on Shiganari and Senkuks. So this is not going to be as easy to get to the backline.
Nemesis currently taking Raptors. Are they going to give up this dragon? Maybe they don't want this play. I think it is gone. No way for Velia to get over from where he is. He'll throw out the Maokai ult, trying to punish them as they're in the wrong side of the jungle of Lost Ratones. Managed to back away far enough to not get hit by the Nature's Grasp. Aaron avoids that Demacian standard that's thrown down. There will be no Dragon Strike to connect.
Guys, your bases are on the opposite side.
A little bit, yeah. Why? Nemesis has got onto an inhibitor turret. How has this happened?
Well, the entire time that Verdant as Obstinatus has been left for dead behind, so we're gonna ignore that. The entire time that Verdant were actually focusing on getting the dragon, the entire Los Ratones was already on the bot quadrant of Noodle's jungle. So they had taken complete control, complete vision. They had already pushed down the waves, Javans, and all the damage thrown their way by Los Ratones, and smite that dragon. There is a chance for a comeback.
Well, we said it was looking like that coming into that Soul Point fight, and they still managed to fight it. It's still not been perfect, of course, because they end up taking a lot of structural damage from it. Honestly, probably critical structural damage. An inhibitor in mid lane.
Not fair, not like that.
Shopping! The high street stores are back in business, and Baus is looking to bring him down. Senkuk stays alive for a second or two, gets cast, looking to stay alive for a moment more, and that is it. Baus gonna lose the Baron. There'll be a reset coming on through. There's a minute and a half until Dragon, which you know Lost Returns will then be able to play for, but you can already see that Verdant is saying, screw it, we're getting as many wards down as we can in the enemy jungle. We want to make sure that we can try and contest this dragon in some way, shape, or form. Problem is that Lost Returns said, fine, we're going to push this top side and try and at least get that turret before we reset and get even more.
From Lost Ratones as well, that was inside their jungle. Very, very clever right there from the side of LR. And Obstinatus tried to get a knockup,
Here we go.
but
There's that Magnet Storm, but indeed, it's looking like that might be a very aggressive form of that connective. Noodle gets cast away, stays alive for a second. Senkux does not. Belly in the backside, Nemesis with the perfect execution, part 2. And unfortunately for Verdant, game 2 is looking like a done deal in favor of Lost Ratones. They care not for the dragon. They care for the end of the game. Baus will teleport down to the inhibitor in bot lane, and they will run these Baron-empowered minions straight to the Nexus and a win in game 2.
a little bit of a longer game right here. A classic Lost Ratones early game that brought us all the way here. But this is going to be match point for Lost Ratones. One more, and we will be seeing them in Copenhagen facing up against Ruddy Sack. And honestly, again, I just want to bring it all the way.
It had to be the Thresh, yeah. It had to be.
D5.
Yeah, you need to protect that. You don't have the Gale Force yet. You no longer have the Gale Force. You need to protect him. You need to give him a lantern. You need a sliver of hope, a light.
Very, very old school. You know,
He's gonna camp that bush, trying to stop Chicken Eye from walking that tower.
Does it finally have that level 2, switches weapons, gets a little bit of safety back. Actually does get that dark passage back to safety. You can look potentially for the binding eclipse. Gets the flay back. Now Velia's in danger. They can turn it around. Moonshot! Not required. Just
Oh, they're looking for Nemesis here.
Remember, it is Sejuani and Silas, so that passive pairing in terms of getting the melee synergy on the permafrost can get really difficult to manage. Nemesis has got a flash. Velia's coming on over, flashes away from the abduct. Baylor comes down, pushes Senkux away from Noodle. Flash for the chomp. Senkux in danger. Flash on forward from Bounce with the Vault Breaker. When does Senkux have his own abscond abduct? Gets out to safety. A lot of summoners blown, but no one. It's being run out here by Velia. He's a lot faster on that frozen domain. In comes the W as well. Flash on forward from Reckless. Gets that Tangle Barb boot. The death sentence is decent enough. Can look to bring in a Galio, though. Keeps him alive. Knock up there, of course, as it's the villain's entrance, not the hero's entrance. It was a stolen one.
Senkux right there trying to protect Obstinatus, but with Dragon up and available, Verdant is going to focus on that as Verdant are focusing on Baus.
In comes the permafrost and the glacial prison, and Tayron will say, you do not pass go, and you do
Translate that as Nemesis just walks up, Qs, steals one Void Grab, no +1 tick on the I forgot what it's called, but the fit strength of the neutral objectives. You'll probably know this.
You do actually get it for
the
you.
name better.
It's the objective marker, but yeah. No,
oh, you got two actually.
Now.
True,
so
true,
you do
true.
get 2. Now, actually, also they get a kill on the other side as Velia tried to cross map and gets
nothing extraordinary, but at the end of the day, they're playing for a scaling composition. They're playing for late game team fights, and they found Velia.
Another death sentence, and that'll be the permafrost stacking as well. These picks have been brutal. In comes Nemesis, but look, Sen comes in with a dark passage assisted bomb blossom. In comes the Moonlight Vigil, and a second one's picked up. Doesn't even need to use
Orthodox in terms of it's an Aphelios, and we don't necessarily see that champion very often as a Obstinatus tries his luck.
Right.
Oh,
Pop Blossom comes on down, flash out from Crowny, but they're still a binding eclipse. Looks to cleanse and flash out. Uses the ult too. Gets to stay safe. TP's beginning to fly. Nemesis looking for the shield of Durant. Torn onto the front line as Senkuk's TP'd at a half HP and just gets melted. Combos, that death sentence. Inches off hitting Noodle though on a flank angle. Gonna try and find a way to turn it around as they go in with that cease and desist, and Obstinatus just dies. The flank is turned, the opportunity to start it up.
Yeah, Thresh is a pseudo-tanky champion. You can't really be face-checking. If you get caught, you're going to go down really quickly. They showcase that.
Bundle on a wraparound, though. Might look for the dive. Taylor going to try and start Dracam stepping away. Out comes the pillar. Subjugate down as well. Public execution onto nothing and no one. Doesn't quite go down, but is forced to reset here a little awkwardly. The turret is going to be picked up surely by Baus as a result.
Yeah, Lost Ratones are trying to play away from Shigenari's Aphelios right now, which is very wise. Try to isolate side lanes, take down Tayron on the Ambessa. Didn't end up getting his flash either. However, they're going to trade the neutral.
To hit your buttons appropriately. If you can get a good Moonlight Vigil, you can get big combo with your abilities and get some of those free weapon switches. You can find some moments, but this will keep happening on the side lane. In goes Baus. Crowny follows with a killer instinct. And that instinct was correct. Tayron finds himself in a 30-second grave.
Yeah, Verdant are going to use the Rift Herald right now. Use the numbers advantage that they have on the map, at least for the time being, to take that mid lane tier 1 tower.
Nice little flash to interrupt the Justice Punch. Flashing on forward from Noodle. Going to get the permafrost down. Pop Blossom in response, though. Velia turning up. Trying to turn it around with the hero's entrance, but there's a dark passage out to safety. Baus now hunting. Has got flash to work with. Can look for something more. Cooldown's not that long. Speedy at this point with the tier 2 boots. Looking for another Q. Mega Blast Cone. Just out to safety. Blast. Flash not quite enough to get in range, but Noodle now split off from his team. Turret was secured all the while. There's another dark passage. Can Noodle get to it, or is it going to get body blocked? Not quite enough. Turnaround, they've stolen Velia's ult. The subjugate could be valuable here. And that Verdant actually do a good job of extracting the skulls. Well, we'll know Shigenari has died. Baus in danger. Needs to try and back away here a little bit. Looking to go on forward. Drake down step into the public execution. He's overstepped. He will die now. Surely no way out for the Vi. And Lost Ratones lose their top laner, even if he buys a second or two more.
Yeah, that was one of the longest plays in history as Lost Ratones take advantage of all the chaos going on the top side of the map, and majority of Verdant, not majority of them.
A fracas on the board. Baus on a flank angle. Didn't come on in. Nemesis as well. Going to be spotted out as they try to turn on the Galio. Turning to pick him up all the while on the other side. Tayron and Obstinatus buying space with the box. In comes the Galio hero's entrance. Dragon secured, but they're going to turn it around now onto Velia. All the while though, Crowny out to the backside for killer instinct. He gets the double. The Moonlight Vigil. Shigenari takes a few back with him. They can't quite finish up. But wait, what about the turnaround? The cease and desist stops Tayron from claiming the lives he so desperately wanted to claim. For Dragon into Baron, it's looking pretty difficult here for Verdant for all. There's been a moment or two on screen at least where it felt like they had some options.
Yeah, an Atakan is being started right here, as you rightfully mentioned. 4 members of Verdant, but no one's really getting anywhere near. They do not have vision. They would be face checking, and that could be GG right here if you face check one too many times.
And you're going pick CC into a Chem Soul, which will give you tenacity, those wonderful things. Gonna try and turn around to the Baus, who just take a fair amount of damage into the stolen cease and desist. He gets so much back, though. Senkuk's had to flash away. Noodle now in danger. He's turned into his namesake. He's dinner. Down goes Senkuk's as well, who is cut down in his... I'm not even sure it's prime at this point, really, is it? In this game, 1 and 3 on the silence, having a rough old time. Crowny with the killer instinct, looking for the orders. Taylor tries to get on top with the Drake house up and just can't do it. Baus debating going forward. Of course he does. It's another good Moonlight Vigil. He'll get one back with Shigenari, but the fireworks mean nothing. It's a festival for Lost Ratones.
He gets 2 in the end, but it's an ace for Lost Ratones, and right here, they're gonna get to push that bot lane tower. I'm thinking that several in milliseconds. Everyone runs in. Fantastic double knock-up from Reckless. Neutral objectives. There's no easy way to face check. Noodle's gonna have to do it for them as Baus is looking for Shigenari.
He goes the distance. In comes the hero's entrance, and Galio brings the pain. They'll pick up absolutely everyone in the mid lane. It's Noodle and Senkuk's alone, trying to clear the wave desperately to hold on to the game. And Lost Ratones will be having none of that. A triple over to Velia.
And you just see how simple it is. No mobility, no flash, no barrier. Press R, stun him into place. Everyone dives in. Shigenari dead. He's the whole damage from the side of Verdant. He was the last choice of damage, and he is down, and Lost Ratones are taking everything in that base.
10 seconds to go, and Lost Ratones have decided they've had not quite enough. They'll take a Nexus turret and then go back towards the inhibitors. A little umming and ahhing there. They'll have the base critically broken, but they can turn for soul. They'll play it slow. No mistakes. No mess. Just ruthless efficiency for now. TP's coming in. Verdant want to play them on the reset. Have they spent too long here? Maybe I overspoke. Now Nemesis in danger. Throws out the shield of Durant. Seconds looking for an angle. Gets into the backside. But he's very alone. Needs to start backing away from the execution. But it's only onto the Bows, who just does not give a damn right now. Permafrost not fully stacked. The Moonlight Vigil not quite enough to bring down.
It's translated into items yet. So I really commend Verdant for trying to get that. I grabbed 3-4 kills. You grab Baron, you could turn the game around. Not quite the case. It ends up being Soul for the sort of Los Ratones. And let's watch this one more time. It's as simple as press R and everyone piles on top. Crowny will dive into the backline. You see Nemesis flying through. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? You don't have mobility, you don't have a flash, you're sitting duck, and what better than an ultimate that is a point and click follow stun like Vice to pin you down.
This is not a naked Vice. You learned into the whole damn vault. Vi, quite known for breaking those. Just press Q once or twice. In comes the Glacial Prison. It's nice, but there's just no follow-up. It's only onto Reckless. Not the most valuable target. Shield Durant onto the front line. Obstinatus flashes away on the thresh. In goes Reckless. Pop Blossom on 3. Crowny follows. They try and buy some time. The villain's entrance is followed by the hero's rebuttal. They'll keep throwing out the Acathian rain, and they know what they say about that. When it rains, it pours. Verdant will be absolutely annihilated. 3-0 for Los Ratones. And Denmark, check your harbors, check your ship. They're full of rats. Los Ratones are heading to finals.
A heart attack to their fans, losing to Nord, falling into the lower bracket. But guess what? It was all done for content. It was all done for you guys. So you get 2 more whole series. Well, 3 with the lower bracket final that they're about to play. For your eye pleasure only, of course, commiserations to Verdant. Pretty valiant effort, but they run into a wall of rats. And who are you gonna favor? 1 Verdant or a million rats? I don't know. I'll favor the million rats.
Suddenly hear the cries of XDD. It's the world, it feels like, at this point. A great series from Los Ratones, and we asked whether they find some recovery, whether they managed to come back from what was a difficult loss in the upper bracket. And the answer was yes, they have. And, you know, credit over to Verdant, said they have pushed really hard in this playoffs.
All right.
All right, Trouble.
Yeah.
Going back into the desk, it's a 3-0 clean sweep from Los Ratones. I gotta say, this third game looked even better. I think the beginning of it, we had some signs of Shiganari with their failures. Germana, you brought it up. People are not used to this champion anymore. This could get dangerous if he gets spoon-fed. And he was 4 kills in a row.
Yeah, I mean, he was 4-0 by, you know, maybe 10 minutes or so. It really didn't take a lot of time for the Aphelios to get rolling, but the unfortunate fact of the matter is that Vi pick, you know, at the very end for Los Ratones, if you rack your brains back, or maybe you know haven't been watching League of Legends for that long, when Aphelios was in meta, and that's like almost a true statement for some people, unfortunately, you know, when Aphelios first came in, one of the crucial picks at dealing with the Aphelios was the Vi, because then it was so easy to pile on additional engage, and you saw it many times throughout, but this was probably the pivotal fight. The Aphelios is fed. He's really fed. The Infernal is huge, but then this push forward, it's just, you understand why he's in this mindset. He needs to carry. They're still clumped up. He's got the Infernum Q. If he can spread it and just about get enough damage out, you know, that's maybe that's a highlight reel. It's a montage moment, right? But you do it, it falls, you know, the wheels fall off, and it looks silly in post. And that's just the unfortunate way that, from that point on, Verdant really didn't have much a leg to stand on, because it felt as though they were never quite in sync or necessarily assigning themselves in lanes that would really stop Los Ratones from easily picking off either Shiganari or Senkux. And when they looked for plays, it was onto people like Baus, who always had Galio cover support.
Yeah, and who refused to die on top of that. But yeah, the Galio support and the Reckless support on top of that, like, what you love seeing from Los Ratones in this game is the fact that they were so quick to pick up whenever a fight was happening, and they would be very quick to join in, which is something you want to see from Verdant, but unfortunately it was playing against them to this extent here, because once the big fights start happening and once they're easily for Los Ratones and they start accelerating, what happens in the game is, for Los Ratones, if anybody starts the fight, there is 3-4 follow-ups immediately available that are from pretty high distance, so Los Ratones are very quick to react. For Verdant, what happens is, apart from specific weapon combinations for affiliates, they don't have any range in their comp whatsoever, so they need to all stick together, which plays against them, because if you're all together, what happens is Nam is jumping onto you, knocking you up. Reckless is jumping onto you, knocking you all up. Baus is jumping onto somebody on your backlane like Aphelios who wants to save but knocking you up, and you never get out of this control.
It just feels so unplayable.
Yeah.
You know, as Aphelios, if you don't have, you know, immediate lantern, if you don't have, I don't know, it just doesn't really feel like there's anything you can do in that kind of circumstance. The Nico also makes the Braum pick very awkward to slam in there as like a true disengage. You can't really play an Enchanter in that spot because then you don't have enough front line. It's hard, right? And again, it really did feel as though, even though we're focusing, you know, on Obstinatus in that particular kind of play, there's not really the onus on him, right? To me, it was more about how, and it was always going to be difficult, Verdant could try and play the mid 2v2 to try and at the very least keep this Galio and Trundle at bay. But they didn't really get off to the races. They didn't really snowball super hard by any means. And yeah, sure, you know, Shiganari got all of the kills that he needed, but those two, right, Velia and Nemesis, were able to either facilitate or make their own plays onto Shiganari off cooldown with a very, very little response.
Yeah, they pinpointed the issue, they knew what to do, and I think it's a summary of the entire series, no? Like, Shiganari picked the hyper carry, they pinpoint the problem, and they were always falling on top of the problem to try and remove him from the equation. LR was just a step ahead of what Verdant could provide. I don't think anyone could save Shiganari from his fate. I think the Aphelios one, yeah, that replay, I think it goes back to the graphic we brought up, Jamana Solari, the death percentage of the team.
Yeah.
He's on the edge. But aside from that, what can you do as an AD carry? You just, well, I guess I'll die. Like, I think that's the meme.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really difficult question to answer, right? With the ADs that are out, what you had in front of you in terms of composition, it's like you need something to cut through that kind of setup. And I think that, unfortunately, again, that 4-5 out of Los Ratones really just kind of undid a lot of potential good that could have been there from that Verdant composition.
Well, as it stands, we're waiting to see if we can chat with someone from LR as they are able to qualify for Copenhagen. I think it's quite important. Well, their fall versus Nord, everybody was doubting because it was a single loss of all. Like, let's be honest, a single loss. It's nothing to write home about. But it's also a good opportunity for them to have more competitive games. And also, something that I actually want to ask them is another opportunity to be on stage a little bit longer. You have like Nemesis, Crowny, and Reckless. Stage, they know it by hand. What about Baus and Velia, who was not even present in Nottingham? So they need that stage, you know, practice. So I think this is going to be good for them. And Ruddy have that opportunity to jump on them if they want to go to finals.
I mean, weirdly enough, I would actually say, despite that, remember they had the Red Bull event, right? Like that, it whilst not necessarily the highest level of competitive integrity, is still, you know, stage experience in that kind of environment. You know, crowd shouting, chanting. I actually think, you know, funnily enough, that statement stands probably a lot more for the side of Radisac, right? I think even the Nord players have got some kind of, well, they have land experience from Nottingham. They've probably, you know, Jankos has. Well, Jankos. Yeah, him alone really like kind of fills the shoes of that narrative. But yeah, I totally agree. Still, nonetheless, right? It's still very limited for Baus and for Velia. So, you know, getting more time under those conditions is also, I'm sure, if Nottingham was anything to go by, they'll thrive under. And for Velia, of course, you know, first time experience, that kind of setting too.
What do you mean? It was in Nottingham. Didn't you see?
Ah, yeah.
That was
no. That was him. No,
that was him. It's just different. He just needed some help to walk on stage. That's all.
Yeah, he just needed some gym time.